Unstable SMP makes impossible things look normal. A cane rises from 0 votes to thousands, a player escapes prison without any trouble, and 2 players survive a 2v1000 like it's just another fight. But what if none of it was scripted? What if every battle, escape, and perfectly timed moment had to happen naturally on a real server? Because then the story changes completely. Some arcs survive, some collapse instantly, and some players go from main characters to liabilities. So I'm going to the protagonist to see who actually survives on an unscripted unstable SMP. Parrot's scripted arc is simple. He enters the election, gets his first 100 votes by saving a jungle civilization, survives the purge, defeats LettuceK with powerful allies, and becomes king. As a story, it works. But unscripted, this arc almost dies complete. The jungle was not guaranteed. Parrot was under-geared, fighting players with more resources, and on a real server, there is no story force making sure he wins. He could just lose, and if he loses there, everything collapses. No 100 votes, no election run, no King's Arc. But once he gets those votes, his chances improve. The purge sounds dangerous, but he had field while the bird protecting him. A weak candidate alone gets deleted. A weak candidate with a strong bodyguard can survive. The final battle against LettuceK is also possible. By that point, Parrot has Flame, Wemmbu, Spoke, and other strong players by his side. Could they beat the law? Yes, but not cleanly. In an unscripted version, people would die, plans would fail, gear would get lost, and someone probably gets betrayed. The real issue is the votes after Lettuce loses. Once Lettuce ends up in jail, Parrot suddenly gains massive support, but on a real unscripted server, Lettuce could become a martyr. His supporters could call Parrot corrupt and rally behind Lettuce even harder. So if this was unscripted, Parrot does not just need to win the fight, he needs to win the narrative after the fight. Without that, he is not king. He is the guy who beat the favorite and actually started the civil war. Flame's scripted arc is short. He survives a 2v1000 with Wemmbu, gets forced into exile, trains, returns stronger, and helps defeat the law. Flame is the easiest protagonist to defend. The 2v1000 sounds ridiculous, but Flame is one of the few players where you have to be careful clouding your plot armor. He is genuinely that good. So unscripted, that fight is still insane, but believable enough. The problem is the exile. Flame survives in an army, but later gets forced out by a weaker version of the law. That can work, but it needs a real reason. Maybe he was low on resources. Maybe the law used traps, numbers, or smarter planning. But without that, it feels like Flame loses because the story needs a training arc. In an unscripted version, Flame does not get exiled because he randomly becomes weaker. He gets exiled because the law plays smart. They cut off his supplies, isolate him from his allies, force him into bad terrain, and make the fight about pressure instead of skill. The training arc mostly survives. Flame leaving, grinding, improving, and returning stronger is believable. But convenient details, like finding slow-falling arrows at the perfect time, would need to change. He would have to grind for them, trade for them, steal them, or force someone to give them to him. Flame's arc survives, but with one fix. His exile needs to come from strategy, and not sudden weakness. Flame losing is believable. Flame randomly becoming bad is not. Spoke's scripted arc is simple. He fights Bat, trends Capital City for proof that Manepear is alive, gets talked down by Parrot, helps defeat the law, and later kills Beowulf by trapping him in the void. That story works because Spoke has real motivation. He wants proof that his friend is alive. But unscripted, Spoke has a plot armor problem. His enemies fall for easy traps, chase him into obvious setups, and somehow fail to kill him even when he does not carry a proper PvP inventory. At times, it feels less like Spoke is outplaying everyone and more like everyone else losing their brain. On a real server, players pearl away, call for backup, check suspicious tunnels, and stop chasing when something feels wrong. Capital City also feels underguarded. If it is one of the most important places on the server, why are only around 20 people protecting it? It should have proper guards, backup groups, alarms, traps, and player watching it from multiple angles. So unscripted, Spoke gets spotted earlier, chased harder, and probably caught unless his preparation is way better. But this is also how his arc improves. Spoke should not win through combat. If he beats people in PvP, it feels fake. If he beats them through traps, paranoia, information, and pressure, it works. That is why his kill on LettuceK is perfect. He does not beat Leo fairly. He outsmarts him and traps him in the void. So Spoke's arc can survive, but it needs smarter enemies, fewer free escapes, and more failed traps. Unscripted Spoke is not dangerous because he is the strongest. He is dangerous because he only needs one mistake. Wembu's scripted arc is the hardest to make unscripted. After the 2E1000, he gets trapped in prison. Spoke digs underneath to break him out. He joins the pirates, fights the law, and helps Parrot defeat LettuceK. As a story, it is fun, but as an unscripted event, it has problems everywhere. The prison escape is the biggest one. Wemmbu is a high-value target. He fought the law, has connections, and has enemies. So why is the prison so easy to break into? If this was unscripted, the law would expect a rescue attempt. There would be guards, traps, anti-digging systems, patrols, and maybe fake cells. Spoke simply digging underneath feels way too convenient. The escape can still happen, but it needs a real operation. Spoke should need information, a weakness, a distraction, maybe someone on the inside. Right now, the prison feels like a plot checkpoint. Then there is the combat. Wemmbu is good, but he is not FlameFrags, so his 1D1000 style feats feel less believable. With Flame, you can buy it. With Wemmbu, it feels like the server bends around him. The orbital strike cannons make this worse. A few cannons are cool, but hundreds break the logic. Who built them? Who gathered the materials? Who protected them? So in an unscripted version, Wembu's orbital strikes need to be rare. One strike should matter, take planning, and have consequences. But the biggest plot armor in Wembu's POV is Egg-chan. Egg is connected to Wemmbu, who is constantly in danger. On an unscripted server, enemies would always target Egg immediately, because Egg is leverage, and an easy kill. So Egg needs real protection. Allies, secret bases, decoys, escape routes, or anything to protect him. Otherwise, the repeated survivals feel fake. Wembu's arc needs the most rewriting. The prison escape needs to be harder, the super weapons need limits, and Egg-chan needs protection, not luck. So if Unstable SMP was unscripted, the story would not disappear. Parrot could become king, Flynn could return from exile, Spoke could beat Leo, and Wemmbu could escape prison. But none of it would come clean. Parrot's election becomes a propaganda war. Flame's exile needs strategy behind it. Spoke needs smarter enemies, and Wemmbu needs stronger limits. Scripted SMPs create the best version of the story. Unscripted SMPs create the messiest version of the truth. And honestly, that version might be better. Because if Unstable SMP was unscripted, the question would not be, can the protagonist win? It would be, how many of them can survive long enough to reach the end?